In this lesson, we will craft the second dialogue. The goal is to vividly depict the setting of the scene where the characters interact. For context, in our narrative timeline, this conversation takes place early on a Sunday morning as Irene makes her way to the hostel to face Gabriela, who preceded her there earlier. Here I have a problem because Irene and Gabriela have very delicate issues to discuss. It would be a bit strange for them to start describing the space when their minds are occupied with something else. So, I will initiate the first encounter between Irene and Gabriela. After Gabriela departs, Brenda will enter the scene. It's quite probable that Brenda and Irene will provide a description of the setting. This setup allows for a smooth transition and maintains the focus on the narrative's progression. To set the scene, I had Irene describe the hostel as a dump during her chat with Gabriela. This way, when Brenda overhears from another room, it naturally introduces the setting without disrupting the flow of their conversation. She directly approaches Irene, confronting her for calling her hostel a dump. Let's see this moment in the dialogue, where they describe the space they are in. Do you think it's a dump? Sorry? My hostel, actually, I should clarify. I was upset before. It's quite charming with its rustic vibe, although I'm not sure if that's the right term for it. The wooden doors are really attractive. Is every piece of furniture crafted from wood? Yes, I suppose you made the living room yourselves. Yes, I adore these old houses. They're so solid with high ceilings. I cherish these places in my youth, always finding them fascinating. You are young, thank you. Well, I still like them, but I wouldn't dream of staying here anymore due to the ridiculous societal pressures. It's quite liberating, though. By the way, do you have any idea what extra element I'd include? I say this without intending to offend. A mural on that wall. Especially as the light from those windows strikes it, I imagine it must flood in completely during sunsets, creating a warm glow. I'm dying for a mural on that wall. This fragment not only describes the space, but also begins to establish the relationship between Irene and Brenda. As you can see in this description of the space, it was very easy to bring up the topic of the mural to start that relationship on the right foot. The space description I included was about old houses. We already know it's an old house, featuring high ceilings and wooden furniture, including the pieces that form the living room, adding a classic touch to the old house. What I'm presenting to you now is the initial draft of these conversations. In subsequent versions, after making necessary corrections and rephrasing certain elements, I might discover new ways to depict the environment where they find themselves. If I had insisted on describing this space when Irene and Gabriela first encounter each other, I probably would have ended up with something like this. I don't understand what you came to do at this old and neglected hostel. We've bare walls and this dreadful living room in the old neglected hostel. My issue with this alternative is that terms like old and neglected don't accurately convey the essence of the space. I find it more effective to create a vivid image rather than rely on adjectives that feel somewhat inflexible and don't capture the true nature of the environment. Thus, when crafting these images and mentioning the high ceilings, it allows viewers' imaginations to fill in more details about the space I'm illustrating. This approach helps convey the environment's essence more vividly. Additionally, mentioning the need for a coat of paint on the walls in this dialogue doesn't benefit me, it's merely a reference. However, by incorporating it into the dialogue, I managed to develop the relationship between Irene and Brenda more effectively. Characters don't speak to each other in a void, and if we want to describe the space they are in, we have to construct the situation so they can say it without it sounding forced. In stories that present a reality different from the one we live in, such as science fiction stories, world building becomes essential for grounding these narratives and making them believable. It will be crucial for the characters to explore and gradually depict their surroundings, describing the environment and making it feel vibrant and real, ensuring the setting comes alive through their interactions. In addition to detailing the space, dialogue can reveal another character's traits or describe an external event, like a social movement or something similar. This approach enriches the narrative and provides depth to the story's context. These descriptions fall under the implicit annotations I previously mentioned. Personally, I prefer including implicit annotations and subtly introducing details about the space or costumes. This method allows for a more natural and immersive storytelling experience, rather than placing an annotation at the beginning that describes the entire environment. And I also think that when the designers arrive of all that space and the costumes, it turns out to be much more enriching and gives them more freedom to create. In the upcoming lesson, we will focus on Dialogue 3, designed to handle various topics or conversations within a single dialogue, enhancing our communication skills.